Okay, Unheard Gems, I am now joined with Adam Sample. Welcome to our show. How are you today?
Hey, thanks so much. I'm good. Yeah, it's been a good day. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, first off, when did you first know you wanted to pursue music, and when did you start music, sort of that journey for you?
So initially, I think I was always kind of drawn to pop music, just like my parents would play it growing up and whatnot. And my mom actually will take credit. She said she used to like hold up a boombox to her stomach when she was pregnant with me. So she was like, "You love music as soon as you like came out and was born." But I feel like initially, like in middle school and high school, I would do the school musicals. Um, and then not until college, I like actually became friends with like people who also were trying to pursue pop music and like producers. Some of my best friends now actually, and started like diving into that world of writing. And I don't produce, but I like watching the process and seeing the process. So just kind of diving into all aspects of that. But I guess initially, yeah, it was like middle school when I knew like I had a dream to be a musician or an artist.
So far you only have one song released, and it's called The Weekend. It's an amazing song. So, how did that song come about for you, and what was that process like?
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I'm glad you like it, and I'm glad you like reached out and found the song. So I guess I'll go back like a couple years to kind of dive into the whole story. So after I didn't graduate college, but after I finished my portion of college, I came out to Los Angeles, and my first, I guess, like major music project was this duo, um, and it was kind of put together. Nothing like really ever came out, and whatnot, but it was very unauthentic to me, and so weekend. So once we were having like difficulties with creative differences and whatnot in that project, I needed to like restate who I was, I guess, just for me personally. So I wrote Weekend with some friends, and it was just like super authentic. And I was like, this is dope. And I wanted to, put it out without really a game plan, actually, like no plan at all, but just for like my own sanity. I was like, I need to put this out for me just to like show people what kind of music I'm about, what I want to write about, like authentic stories. So yeah, I put Weekend out on Spotify, but it just kind of happened with a couple friends, to be honest.
That's really cool. So, what was it like when that song hit 1 million streams on Spotify?
That was like a dream come true, I guess. Before it reached a million views or whatever, yeah, views. It was on the New Music Friday, which was like a chart Spotify puts out. That was actually a bigger dream of mine because I would like always check that every Friday. And I think before that it was like New Music Tuesday. I don't know if you remember,
I think so, yeah.
but yeah. So it started as that, and that was like something I would check weekly, right, to see what new songs were out, like what inspired me, etc. So when it was on New Music Friday, that like really was like a dream for me. And then when it hit 1 million, that was crazy. It's still kind of surreal.
Definitely. So, what about music in the future? Can your like listeners and followers expect like a similar vibe to that song, or do you think that there's going to be like a change in direction music wise?
I think there's definitely a similar vibe and tone to what I put out. But since Weekend was the first song of this endeavor, I guess, I have been exploring with like different sounds, different production, different producers, working with other writers, and collaborating. So I've been like exploring, but I think because Weekend is so authentic to me, nothing's gonna be too far away from that. At least now, where I am in my life, because I just kind of you know vibing with that, and it's who I am, and all of that. So I think things will be pretty similar.
And so, are you working with any other artists right now on their music? And how is that going? And does that impact your own music at all when you think about writing?
So haven't been really writing for other artists' projects at the moment, just because I am focusing on what I'm going to be putting out soon. But I have been writing with like other artists and other writers, and like I said, working with other producers. And yeah, it's like really cool just to get different, you know, I guess viewpoints of like how songs are written, because I'm still pretty new to this, and so it's just like everything. Working with anyone for me is just, I'm learning so much, and so it is really cool. But no, I haven't been working with other artists on their projects, but working with other musicians and writers and people for stuff I'll be putting out.
And so you are signed with Warner Music, and so just for our listeners to get sort of an idea of what that's like, so how was that process getting signed to that label, and what's it like being part of a bigger record label?
Yeah, totally. So I initially, just to backtrack, I guess a little bit, I initially put out Weekend, like I said, to kind of for my own sanity, and I just like uploaded it to Spotify and I guess iTunes and whatnot. So, anyways, yeah. So like I said, I put Weekend out just for my own personal sanity, needing to get stuff out, and then Warner, it actually went like viral on Spotify, and I have no idea how that happened, but it was like completely organic. And then Warner reached out to me maybe within like 3 or 4 weeks of it being out, and this was like a little bit over a year ago. And since I didn't have a game plan or I had no idea what I was gonna do, I was just like writing, but didn't really put together like an EP yet or like a brand or all of that stuff. So I initially turned down the offer, and I was like, no, and also one of my friends was having bad experience with the label, so I was like, maybe like I just want to be independent. And so I turned down the offer, and then the song just kept getting more plays, and then they like kept reaching out, and I was like, okay, I'm new at this, and I feel like I need like a machine kind of to pick up my project, if you will. And so I then signed with them. And it's been great just because of the connections they have and like the doors that have been opened because of them. I think it's cool signing to a label. I think there are some downsides because I only have put out one song in the last like year. So the process can get like kind of caught up a little bit just because of business stuff and everything like that. But as a whole, I feel like a label is kind of the machine to push something, that you kind of started on your own, because they definitely don't kind of build artists anymore. You kind of have to have something that's working, and they'll kind of pick it up, if that makes sense. So I feel like labels are changing, like from 5 to 10 years ago. They're so different these days. But yeah, it's cool being signed to Warner.
So what music out there, what musicians currently inspire you in your journey in the music world? Like, do any friends really help and guide you along this process?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this, and it's funny. I feel like I get more inspired because I do have a lot of friends that I like went to school with who are in music right now, and some songs that will never be released or like haven't been released yet. I feel like I'm so inspired by just things that like my close friends are working on. And so like that's kind of cool just to see everyone's process and what they're in, and be inspired by each other. But I think like one artist that everyone I feel like has heard of, Julia Michaels. She put out an EP, I want to say what, like months ago, but that EP was so inspiring to me. I just wanted to like sit down and write and write and write and write. And I loved like the honesty and vulnerability behind it, and like the production is so simple, and I think that's like beautiful in that way, because the lyrics like carry the song, which I love, because sometimes you can get caught up in the production and then you're like, wait, what was the song even about? It might feel good and like make you dance, but I love when lyrics can like carry a song, or like if you strip it down to a guitar, it still is a great song. So that EP really inspired me. And then, have you heard of a girl named, I don't even know how to say her name, but it's like Tove Stark?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
is
I've
that how
heard
you
of it.
say it?
I think so.
Tove Stark, something like that. Anyways, she has two songs out that I know of, and both of them, like, are amazing. And, it's Say My Name and then Mistakes. And those songs were like super inspiring to me. Also in like production too. There's some like simplicity to it. But yeah, I think those are really good. And also I listen to like a lot of country, which might be surprising. So like this was like 4 or 5 years ago, but do you know Kacey Musgraves?
Yeah.
She put out, I don't know if the album was actually called Merry Go Round, but there was a song, and I think it's inspiring whenever an artist in a genre, because they'll like box you in, and then she like talked about things that might be looked down upon or shouldn't be talked about in that industry or whatever. And I think that's cool to like break the barriers and say what you want to say. And so that's inspiring to me. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I guess I find inspiration in like different aspects of a song and an artist. What was the question again? I get so sidetracked. I'm so sorry.
I just asked what sort of music and musicians inspire you in your journey in the music
Oh,
world.
okay.
So
I was dead on then.
yeah,
Perfect.
perfect. And then I have one last question, and that would be if you were to recommend a few or just like one growing or unheard musician that we need to listen to for this show, who would it be?
So I just heard this person yesterday, and I'm like obsessed with this song, and you might already know it or of her. But have you heard of an artist named Sasha Sloane?
I've heard the name. I'm not super familiar with her music yet.
Okay, so she put out a song, I think it was just yesterday, called Runaway. And like, I probably listened to it like 50 times already. And that's another song to me where like the verse, it's such like honest lyrics, and I love that. And I feel like everyone should listen to that song. And so yeah, Sasha Sloane, I'm curious to see where like what she'll be putting out. And then I was talking to a friend, and we were saying how like what even is like a fresh sound anymore, like what is the cool thing to do in like songwriting or production or whatnot. And someone was mentioning, do you remember, this is like an old song, but I feel like everyone should go re-listen to it, The Beautiful Soul by Jesse McCartney.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like that song, if that came out today, like it might sound kind of fresh. And I feel like that's like a dope song I've been listening to. But I feel, yeah, I don't know. Sasha Sloane is definitely one that I think everyone should go check out, and her song Runaway. And I think she did a collaboration with Kygo too. Something about town. This town or our town or get out of town.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with us, and we look forward to hearing everything else you have coming out hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.